Lie. It's taken from my newest book, a collection of short stories called Faces Beyond the Veil. Wallace eased off the gas when his Tacoma's tires started to spin. The truck tried to lurch forward, couldn't, and instead slid backwards. He should have never left his house, he thought, and he certainly shouldn't have started up this steep, winding driveway that currently looked like the Kumbu Icefall. He cut the wheels and applied the toe to the accelerator again. The tires found purchase. He dropped a gear and guided the truck up over the crux of the climb. An ice pellet the size of a golf ball plunked off his truck's hood. He thought of last night's local news. "This has been going on for a week now," the anchor had said, "and numerous odd phenomena, including pieces of ice as large as softballs, have been reported." This morning, Wallace had gone to deliver supplies to his parents so they could safely make it through this bizarre, ongoing ice storm. As he was leaving his parents' house, his dad had said, "Son, if you can make it up there, will you check on my old friend Hilliard on your way out of town? He's fine, surely, but I swear he's going senile. He says he's worried about his roof. He says he's smelling things, hearing things. Only go up there if you can make it." There had been a look on his dad's face that Wallace didn't like. He still couldn't say why. Regardless, here he was, shutting off his truck in front of old Hilliard's simple stone house atop Oak Hill. The old man had fought in 2 wars, supposedly still chopped his own firewood, and always swore he needed no help. "This is the right thing to do," Wallace told himself as he rang the doorbell. "And Dad knew I would do it. Only if you can make it, be damned." The man who answered looked considerably more ancient than Wallace remembered, but he was lively. He made a comment about the driveway and extended a hand. "How are you, sir?" Wallace asked as he shook it. "Still breathing." Hilliard motioned for him to come in and led him into a gloomy living area. "Your daddy sent you here, I assume? Probably told you to come only if it was safe. But you were going to do it no matter what. Ain't that about right?" "Yes, sir." "I knew it, but I'm glad you're here. Look there at the ceiling, see?" Wallace looked, saw nothing but off-white drywall. Hilliard said, "Guess you don't see it, but it's about to fall. See the swell? Heard things up there too, since the ice started. Got a ladder at the back. Was trying to check the roof first." Wallace changed his angle, and yes, he saw it now. A slight swell, a change in color. "Got a leak, it looks like," he said. "I'll check it out." He first went around to the back of the house, where Hilliard had set up a ladder. It was sleeting again. "I went out last night when I heard something hit the roof," the old man said. "Strange cloud came over this hill, and I swear it dumped something on the house. But I can't climb. It's my knees." Wallace said no problem, and he climbed up to the edge of the roof. He spotted a place up near the top of the pitch that was sunken, definitely damaged. Broken through? It didn't look like it, but he couldn't tell. "There's some damage," he said as he descended the ladder. "Can I check the attic?" "Course you can, boy." Something flickered in his eyes. "I appreciate it." Hilliard led him around to the carport, where he retrieved a flashlight from a storage closet. He pointed up at the attic hatch. "You'll need the flashlight. Ain't had a working light up there in years." Wallace pulled down the ladder, turned on the flashlight, and ascended into the darkness. The attic was filled with the steady clicking of the sleet. He hauled himself up onto a small platform consisting of 3 sheets of plywood nailed down to the ceiling joist. This space was used for storage, old garden tools and Christmas decorations mostly. He moved past the clutter to the platform's edge and shone the flashlight into the darkness. A shiny, rounded object, a bit smaller than a human head, glimmered at the edge of the beam beneath a small portal of gray daylight. It rested perfectly atop a ceiling joist and looked like an impossibly large ball of ice. But its surface seemed to move. And what was that noise? It was a low humming noise, like a nearby bumblebee. And there were words in it, like chattering. Wallace recognized none of it as English. At first, he could only stare and wonder. The occasional piece of sleet came through the hole above. One of them pelted the drywall ceiling and jarred him from a trance he had barely realized he was in. He looked away and found amongst the old garden tools a rusted axe. He tucked the flashlight away, having decided the daylight from the damaged roof was light enough. And with the axe held in both hands, he started out toward the orb, moving from joist to joist. It's definitely not ice, he decided as he neared it. But what the heck was it? He stepped perhaps 2 feet away from the thing, and nudging it with the axe blade, discovered that it was soft, and its surface was moving, because something inside it was moving. The drywall beneath this oddity was damp from melting sleet. Wallace balanced himself on 2 joists, extended the axe, and impaled the thing on the blade. As he retreated back to the platform, hauling the thing with him on the blade of the axe, an arachnid-like appendage emerged from the orb and reached for the handle. It was long, jointed, and seemingly endless. It found the axe handle and began to follow it up toward Wallace's hands. Now the chattering was louder, some ongoing nonsensical racket on the other side of that humming fog. Wallace barely kept from dropping the thing. He was barely aware of his eyes widening, his mouth suddenly going dry. He hurried his retreat, teetering on the brink of putting a foot through old Hilliard's ceiling. Back at the platform, Wallace scraped the thing off the blade onto the plywood, and as another of the appendages was emerging, he brought the axe down again as hard as he could. The thud echoed enormously, but the squeal from inside the split-open orb, or egg, or nest, or whatever it was slight. The thing's innards were black and pink and had a harsh chemical odor that burned the inside of his nose and the back of his throat. What am I breathing in? What is this? Both the humming and the chattering ceased. Wallace stepped back and leaned on the axe handle. "What are you?" he whispered. When he went back down, the old man asked him what the heck all that racket was. "He's grinning," Wallace realized. "I don't like that grin." "You've got a leak," Wallace said weakly, and he thought unconvincingly. "Just let me find some extra plywood, and I'll patch it for you." "Right out there." The old man was pointing toward the shed at the back of his property. 3 or 4 sheets stacked up in the back. There's a saw, too. Wallace heard something familiar after he had started across the lawn. This something caused him about 50 feet from the house to turn around and look, and he saw the old man on his back patio. One of his arms, Wallace swore, was not right. It was too long. There were too many joints. He blinked and the vision was gone. All was quiet. It was just the old man, waving slightly. No, that's not right. Why was he doing this? Why hadn't he just told a total lie to the old man instead of a half one? He could be on his way home. He should have never seen that thing in the attic. He took a deep breath, turned, and continued on. The sleet was picking up now. Some of the ice pellets were so large they stung, and some he thought were bigger than that, and some were not ice pellets at all. When he reached the shed, the foulness in his stomach was immense, and the fireball he belched up only marginally relieved it. He turned around and he saw it again, except it was worse. This time, old Hilliard was barely recognizable as he stumbled out of sight around the corner of his house, moving awkwardly on long, thin legs that appeared broken in multiple places. Wallace thought it was coming from the old man, was emitting that awful chattering racket that had been so prevalent in the attic. The old man grasped at the stone wall to his left with an arm that was not an arm at all, and then he was gone. Wallace thought of that chemical odor upstairs, how it had burned as he took it in. He thought of that look on his dad's face. It had been a look he had never seen before. Old Hilliard's grin. This whole thing, he thought, was a lie. What happens now? He fell back against the front of the shed, closed his eyes, and began to wait.